Hello, listeners, and welcome to the first episode of Starting Grid, podcast where we discuss everything related to Formula One racing, race weekends, news, and any events that go on for it. I'm your host, Malik Durojaye. With me, co-hosting. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Calvin Berberich.
Calvin's calling in from where? Phoenix?
Yeah, I'm out in Phoenix for the weekend.
Oh yeah, have a good St. Patrick's Day.
I said happy St. Patrick's Day.
Sweet. All right, well, yeah. So this podcast is all about Formula One. Kind of the background why I started this. Formula One doesn't have a whole lot of history in the United States, or it has a lot of history, but doesn't have a whole lot of following in the United States. Not compared to Europe, at least. And for those who don't know, Formula One is a single-seater racing series that started back in 1950. Kind of started in Europe. It was real big in Europe, although they did have the Indy 500 race that was on the schedule back in 1950. And now there was only like 7 races back then. Now there's 21 on pretty much every continent. I think like 5 out of 7. Everywhere except Africa and Antarctica, I think, basically. Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Cool. So
definitely more popular in Europe than around the rest of the world.
Right. So yeah, let's jump into the race weekend that just happened, the Australian GP. Yeah, I guess the first big news that kind of came was the death of Charlie Whiting. Did you hear that? Did you hear about that?
Yeah, it came as a pretty big shock to the whole racing community.
Yeah, it was. I guess I didn't know much about him. I don't think I had heard his name. And honestly, to let the listeners know, because I just kind of started following it back in 2011, thanks to a roommate of mine. So kind of my history of Formula One is I've been watching since then, or slightly paying attention since then. In the last couple years, I paid a lot more attention, started watching pretty much every race. And last year, went to my first race in Austria. That was really cool. And now, I'm pretty much hit, neck deep in Formula One, kind of all about it now. So what about you, Calvin? What's your background with Formula One? How'd you get into it?
So I started watching Formula One probably in like the mid-2000s with me and my dad would watch it a lot every Sunday. I never was as much into it as I am now, like watching all the practices and qualifying. I used to just watch the races, but then kind of fell off a little bit in the mid-2000s or 2010, around there. Then jumped right back in the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm all about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the best driver ever is Lewis Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
What? You gonna agree with that?
Schumacher.
Oh, okay.
Michael Schumacher might be the best driver of all time.
Okay, yeah, it's definitely Michael Schumacher. But Hamilton is on his way to going down in history. He's already down in history, I guess. He's on his way to try to beat his record. But anyways, what was that?
Said he's starting to make a name for himself. That's for sure.
Yeah, he is. But we're getting sidetracked already, so let's get back on track. Back to the race weekend. So death of Charlie Whiting. They talked about it quite a bit. Of course, he was the race director. I think he was a voice for the drivers, from what I've heard. So they felt that pretty hard. Definitely, there was some. You can feel it in the atmosphere over the race weekend. After that, I mean, the next biggest thing, they did a new F1 season launch. Did you watch that?
Are you talking about the Netflix series? Or?
No. They did a F1 season launch show where it was in Australia, of course, and they had all the drivers come out on stage and introduced everybody kind of one by one, drivers and the team.
No, I totally missed that.
Yeah, it was.
Was that on Sunday, or I guess Saturday night for us?
Oh yeah. Well, no, this happened Thursday, so this is before practice one.
Oh, Thursday.
Yeah.
Oh, see, I was traveling.
Yeah, you probably missed it. It was pretty cool though, but it was definitely like you could tell that they didn't have it all together, or not everyone knew exactly how it was going to go. But for the most part, it was pretty smooth. Yeah, it was pretty much. I think it was like an hour long, and they just kind of introduced each driver, asked him a couple questions, just another press, pretty much just another press media coverage thing for them to ask a couple questions. I think each team, it was a team principal and both drivers, so 3 people on stage with Jensen Button and some lady reporter. I can't remember her name at the moment. And they just asked them like a couple questions. They were up there for maybe 3 minutes at a time, and then they kept going. So it was pretty cool.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it was. I think they're going to try to do it every year. So I think it's pretty neat, especially for the fans that are kind of in Australia. It gives them a little bit extra. I guess it doesn't really do much for anybody else unless they change the first race of the season. But anyways, yeah, let's get into the new driver lineup for the season. Season start, they got a new driver lineup. I think every team has a new driver lineup except for Mercedes and Haas.
Yeah, Haas and Mercedes bringing back 2018's lineup.
Yep. So I think was it Ricardo that made the whole switch up happen? Is that the person who?
Yeah, last year Ricardo really shook things up by deciding to go to Renault.
Yeah, once he did that, then every other team started making moves, and we had Leclerc go from Sauber up to Ferrari, and Pierre Gasly from Toro Rosso up to Red Bull to replace Ricardo, and just kind of driver changes all over. So it's I read somewhere that it's the youngest starting grid in Formula One history, actually.
Yeah, there's quite a lot of new faces to the grid this year with like Albon, I think.
Yeah, Alexander Albon.
I didn't even realize he was racing this season.
Yeah, because I had only heard his name once before. I think he raced a couple years ago, like 2 races, and then that was it. I think he did like 2 races in 2017 or 2016, and then I don't know if he was replacing somebody. I'm not sure, but he got his seat. So the new people on the track: Lando Norris, Alexander Albon, Antonio Giovinazzi. Daniel Kvyat makes his third return. See if he can stay there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's maybe with the age he'll get a little bit of experience and not be as reckless as he was in the past.
Yeah, what they call him the Rocket, and just throwing his car up the inside every time, destroying people.
Yeah.
Anywho, yeah, pretty big driver lineup, so it should make for an interesting season. See how things go. Are you looking forward to seeing anybody do really well? Anybody you got your money bet on?
You know, I'm really looking to Toro Rosso with their Honda. They're looking pretty good this season.
Oh yeah,
for a midfield competition. I think they're going to give Haas and Renault and stuff a little bit of a run for their money.
Well, definitely, by the looks of the race, it definitely looks like it. So we'll get into that a little bit later. But Toro Rosso, that's good. I think I'm going, as far as driver is concerned, I'm definitely rooting hardest for Pierre Gasly. Started liking him about last year, like early in the season. But he did not have a good showing this weekend, as we will soon discuss.
Yeah, he wasn't looking too good.
Nah.
This is his second, or his, I guess, sophomore year, right?
Yeah. So last season was his first full season, but he did race in 2017 as well, but not just for a couple races.
Yeah. Look, I'm also looking forward to Leclerc. I think if he can pull out a couple wins, he might easily pull away from Vettel as the number one.
Yeah.
Pull out some upsets.
I think he will for sure. give him a year.
He's definitely the future of that team. He can start pulling out some wins.
Starting to see the downfall of Vettel. Oh man, I don't think
I
people
know,
are ready for it.
It'll be a sad day, but Vettel still got it, but he's not like he was in his prime.
Yeah, I guess not. I wasn't paying too much attention in it when he was in his prime because I think the last time he won was it's like 2012 maybe. So I was like pretty new into Formula One.
I think he was driving for Red Bull.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, the Mercedes dominance years, Hamilton and one Rosberg win. But anyways, so couple new rules, or well, one new big rule, couple new rules, but the biggest one is the fastest lap earns a point this season, which a lot of people didn't think was going to be that big a deal, but it turns out a lot of the drivers wanted it. During the end of the race, every radio message was talking about it. Did you catch that?
Oh yeah, it was actually really interesting. Some of these races get kind of boring towards the end. Like, okay, we know who's going to win. Like, sometimes though, who's ever in second will make a push for first, but I think it's really going to shake things up. Give the drivers something to push for there at the end of the race.
That's true. I'm waiting to see one of them make a mistake and lose a place because of it. Because
it's gonna.
Bottas was talking about it. He was like on the radio. He's running in first place, and he's like, "So what are we gonna do? We gonna make a pit stop so I can get some fresh tires? I want that extra point." And I was like, "They gonna mess that pit stop up, definitely."
Right.
Luckily, they decided not to.
It's gonna be exciting. That's for sure. They're definitely they're making changes in the right direction to make the sport more interesting. Definitely over the last few years, I think all the rule changes this year have really helped to increase the competitiveness, from the simplified aero packages, and they're just making the entire field more competitive and more even keeled, which is good. Years in the past, there were, you have your dominant teams, and okay, they're going to win. So who's fighting for, to be the fourth place team, pretty much.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think for any listeners that are like jumping on Formula One for the first time, it's kind of a good time to start watching, because I think the last 4 or 5 years it's been since Mercedes dominance. So people that kind of got into it might not have. It's been Mercedes and not Red Bull, Mercedes and Ferrari that's been at the front, with Mercedes pretty much guaranteeing victory every season. So not too exciting if you don't pay enough attention. But now I think the tides are turning. I think Mercedes, if they win, I think they're going to win this season, the constructors. But I think, next season and the season after that, it's going to be pretty much the tide's going to be turning, and Red Bull, Ferrari going to be making a push for them.
Oh, yeah. I think next year is going to be real competitive with some of the rule changes that are coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, they're already super close. So.
Oh, yeah. Speaking
of fast, let's talk about slow and the unfortunate Williams racing team. Oh man, what are your thoughts on them?
I mean, I don't know if it's the bureaucracy of that team or what that's holding them up. I mean, they spend a ton of money. Well, compared to some of the other midfield teams, anyway, they spend a ton of money. They have a ton of staff, and they just can't get any speed out of their car.
That's true, because a lot of times the teams, the more money you have, the faster you are, and most of the smaller or the smaller teams that are at the back, it's because they're smaller teams. But Williams is a big team with lots of money, and they're dead last place.
Yeah, I don't know what Claire Williams needs to do to turn that around, but I know she's trying real hard. But it seems like they're just throwing good money after bad with everything that they're doing down there.
Yeah, I feel bad for them. They were ridiculously slow. I've never heard them talk about not letting a team race because they're too slow. That was something that they started mentioning during the practices, because there's a rule for qualifying that says that if any driver cannot come within 107% of the fastest time set by the pole setter, then they can't race because they're a danger. They're just too slow. And
Oh wow.
what's it called? Kubica was, where is it? It's qualifying. He was just about 1.7 seconds off of being too slow to race.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do to figure out that.
Yeah.
The speed they need to compete. It's actually kind of sad to see such a great racing heritage from that team.
Mm-hmm.
It's but I mean, they can only look at it this way. They only have room to improve. So
That's true.
The better they do, it's a little bit of a bright spot for them.
It's true. That's true.
I do feel bad for their engineers and stuff. Oh man, they have such a large team, especially compared to Haas and Force India or Racing Point now.
Right.
So it is crazy.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if they can develop fast through the year and bring themselves forward, but it is not looking good. And like you said, they have a huge racing heritage because it's also cool that they're a family-owned team, unlike Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, Haas, McLaren, and Alfa Romeo and racing. All those are like manufacturers, like car manufacturers and things like that. But Williams is just is like a family-run business type thing, started by Claire Williams' father, and then she inherited the business. So, you'd like to see them do well because, stick it to the man.
Exactly.
But they were pretty slow in qualifying. Kubica and George Russell bringing up the back end, followed by McLaren, Carlos Sainz and McLaren. Pierre Gasly down in 17th place because of Red Bull's mistake.
Oh yeah. His last hot lap there ran wide.
Well, no, they didn't. They thought that he was in the clear. They thought he's going to make it to Q2 easily, so they didn't send him out again. He just sat it out, and turns out that midfield battle is a lot stronger than they thought it was going to be, and he ended up getting knocked out. And they were pretty much caught with with their sitting on their hands, like they were
exactly.
They thought they were getting there and they didn't. So pretty bad showing, especially when Max Verstappen's up in fourth place, qualified in fourth, and then his teammates down in 17th. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that's nuts. You definitely can't make mistakes, especially with how close the rule changes have brought the teams together.
Right.
So, I mean, they definitely won't make that mistake again.
Definitely not.
Sure.
Lewis Hamilton qualifying on pole, of course. He was pretty much killing it all weekend, I think, until the very end. But Mercedes dominating all the practice sessions, qualifying as well. That Ferrari would get ahead, and then Mercedes, Hamilton usually, Hamilton or Bottas, just put in a time 0.4 seconds ahead of them. Just get real close, just to show them like, no, we're still here.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of found during the practices and stuff that Ferrari was, holding their cards close to the chest. Didn't want to give away too much. Still be fast, but not show their actual true speed.
Yeah, I guess all the teams didn't want to do that. They were, trying to play their cards right.
Yeah, but that Ferrari, I mean, I guess they're still struggling to find that power. I mean, he was pretty competitive, but I think he was half a second off of Hamilton by the time they ended qualifying.
In qualifying, he was, let's see, Yeah, he was like six tenths back from Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean, and in Formula One, I mean, you're not even in the same ballpark
Yeah, that's
at
a
that
lot.
speed. Yeah, Hamilton and Mercedes just dominating all throughout qualifying.
Once again, looks like it's going to be a Mercedes unless Ferrari change things
Yeah,
really quickly. It looks like Mercedes are going to have the constructors title, and then we'll see if it's going to be a battle between Hamilton and Bottas, or is Hamilton going to run away with it?
yeah. I think the Mercedes lucked out as well with this track. I mean, this track favors their car. It's a horsepower track, and I think the more technical tracks, I guess if you want to say, are gonna favor Red Bull and Ferrari. I think Red Bull and Ferrari's cars are actually pretty close, but I think the track itself lent hand to McLaren for sure. Not McLaren, Mercedes.
Oh, I was going to say McLaren. Whoa.
Yeah.
McLaren didn't do too bad, though. I mean, honestly, I was impressed. I was surprised that Lando Norris put that McLaren in qualified in eighth place.
Yeah, that was a big shock, especially where McLaren were last year.
Yeah, they have upped their game. Hopefully, the Renault engines now. So Renault last year they were running Honda engines, right? Were they still running Honda, or were they running Renault engines?
Last year they were running Renaults. They took the Renault engine from Toro Rosso last year.
Oh, okay, that's right. That's true. So they swapped, and now they're doing better. And then now they put a Honda engine in the Red Bull team. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, Lando Norris put in a pretty good qualifying result.
I mean, only Renault engine to make it to Q3.
That is
Even,
true.
the Renault factory team didn't even Ricardo and Hulkenberg couldn't get it done. Move into Q3.
That's true. I was disappointed by that too. I'm really rooting for Ricardo. He's one of my favorite drivers, so I was a little upset.
Yeah, I hope he does good this season. I hope that Renault engine works out for him. I know they were working on a new engine spec for this season, so hopefully they can get that turned around.
Yeah,
It is weird that the factory team couldn't outperform the B team in qualifying.
yeah. Hopefully, it's just they got to get used to it. I mean, Nico Hulkenberg has no excuse, but Ricardo maybe he just needs time to get used to it. Speaking of Ricardo, he had super bad luck at the start of the race, jumping into Sunday's race. I mean, his home race, and yeah.
He never does really well here.
Nope.
I mean, he's been competitive in past years, but never good enough to take home the W.
Yeah, I think they said he has dropped out of three times out of the last 5 years or something like that. He's not finished in Australia. One time he was disqualified. The other two times the car didn't make it. Pretty sad considering not a single Australian driver has ever stood atop of the Australian GP podium. So I know he's hoping to bring one home for his country, but not this year.
Yeah, that's always good to see when the hometown driver does pretty well.
Yep.
Hopefully, he's gonna have to try again next year. Hopefully that Renault will have a little bit more power.
Yep. For those who don't know, Daniel Ricciardo, as soon as he started off the line, got pushed onto the grass a little bit and lost his entire front wing. It's pretty unfortunate. I mean, I think you could hear the gasps in the crowd when it happened. I mean, everybody was there to see what he could do in that Renault because him leaving Red Bull was such a big deal. And, you know, that Formula One Drive to Survive documentary on Netflix, which is also really good, by the way. You guys should watch that. But that really played up that big move that he made, leaving the Red Bull team for a slower team in the hopes that I think they're hoping for in 2020 that they'll be ready to fight against Mercedes and Ferrari and Red Bull. So he left a little early with the hopes that it'll turn itself around. And very first race out, and he gets some bad luck.
Yeah, it looks like I don't know what he ran over. It looked like a drainage ditch or something just right off the track in the grass there. Just
Yeah, they said that he
tore off his
just,
front end.
because he went down, there was a dip in the grass, and because the front of his car went down so far, the grass and dirt actually just ripped his front wing off. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It wasn't, he didn't hit anything in particular. He just hit dirt and grass. So
Yeah.
super bad luck. I mean, I don't think he made it 20 feet before he lost his front wing. So pretty unfortunate,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Ended
we'll
up
see what happens.
retiring from the race, or
Yeah,
after
he ended up retiring like,
2 more laps.
yeah, what does it say? When did he retire?
I think it was
28th lap.
Yeah, 28th lap. Yeah.
So he tried to push,
Yeah,
and then
after-
he just gave up.
Yeah, after changing that wing, just didn't have any pace. At the end, they went to the hard tire, that was an interesting move.
I imagine they were trying to go for a
Like,
long stint, keep him out there longer, see if he
Yeah.
can get back in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, but could the medium tire have lasted the entire race at that point? What, 1 lap into the race? I know. Yeah, he probably lose a lot of speed there towards the end.
Yeah, who knows? There were a couple drivers out there that probably should have pitted a lot earlier than they did. Like one Antonio Giovinazzi, who was holding up about 4 to 5 cars.
Oh yeah,
That was
Yeah.
hilarious. I was like, man, he's really in the way, but he's doing a damn good job of defending.
Yeah. Well, that speaks to this track, how hard it is to overtake on this track, especially once you get into the race.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. I'm hoping that was the case because I was pretty disappointed in Pierre Gasly running down in 16th for pretty much the entire race. I think
Yeah.
when you look back,
really hope.
when you look back at like Verstappen and Ricardo, when they found themselves at the back of the grid to start the race, they usually made their way to the front pretty quickly. So I don't know if it was that the track is too hard to pass on or Pierre Gasly's just not experienced enough yet with that car to kind of chuck it up the inside and hold the
Yeah.
position. But I was hoping
Yeah,
to see
that
him
was,
run through the pack.
Well, we saw Ricardo do that a couple times last year. Even Max, he took it from the back of the pack in the beginning of the race to at least being competitive up into 6th place.
Exactly.
The 5th.
Yeah, exactly. So I was trying to see him do that, but he didn't. He just stayed back there behind Daniel Kvyat for 60
Yeah,
laps.
I mean, we know that Honda has power from Verstappen.
Yeah, exactly. He should have been
Verstappen
down
was,
there.
yeah, he was doing great most of the race.
You think they're gonna do to Pierre what they did to Daniel all those years ago with Verstappen? Like, Pierre, you're not doing good enough. Daniel, come on back up to Red Bull. You get Daniel Kvyat versus Verstappen again, both in equal power cars to see what they really can do.
I was Christian Horner, the principal for Red Bull. I wouldn't put it past him if he didn't see any. Because we know it's not a performance issue. I mean, the cars they're pretty close to the same. So
Yeah,
he definitely needs to improve. But I mean, they'll definitely give him at least a season to kind of work it out. But yeah, he definitely needs to show some improvement coming up.
Yeah, I think if he doesn't do well over the next 3 races, he's at risk because Kvyat's already he's been there. He's been in that Red Bull car before, so they know that he at least has a chance of being able to handle it and bring home points for the team. Whereas Pierre, this is his first season in the big boy car, as I'll call it.
Right.
the bigger Red Bull car, and yeah, first showing not so good, but I'm like I said, I'm behind him all the way. I want him to stay. That's probably if there was somebody that I was rooting for, it's Ricardo and Gasly. If I could see one of them take home the championship, that would be awesome. So I'm not a Verstappen fan. Sorry for all you Verstappen
Oh man,
fanboys out there.
that hurts. That hurts.
Yeah. And Hamilton, I mean, obviously I'm a Hamilton fan, but I am tired of Hamilton winning. It's kind of like I'm not
Yeah.
mad when he wins, but I'd like to see someone else take it. I think he's gonna retire soon. I think Hamilton will be done after he gets one more win. I think he's gonna be like, all right, I'm out.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think.
You don't think he'll in a couple more years? I mean, if you're at the top still,
I think that
turn
if
that away.
once he matches Schumacher, I'm pretty sure that's all he's really aiming for is to match or pass Schumacher. So probably when he passes Schumacher, which I think he needs 3 more championship titles in order to pass Schumacher,
Yeah.
and 2 to match. But I think once he passes him, he'll be done. I think he'll be ready to retire because he's into so many other things that I don't know. I don't see that much passion in him anymore. I didn't see it in this race at least, but he didn't have a great race. So I think he's just really trying to put his final stamp on his greatness, and then that's it.
Yeah. Kind of once you mastered this, it's all right, time to move on. Whether that's any of the business ventures that he's involved in, or
Right. So
yeah, I can see that happening. But I mean, if you're at the top of your sport, man, and you still got it, it's hard to turn that down.
that's true. That's true. Especially all the money he probably makes.
Oh yeah, that crazy money.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get back to the race. Bottas getting a monster start from the beginning and running away with it for pretty much the entire race.
Yeah, Bottas was on point from lap 1.
Yep.
I mean, he did pretty much everything he needed to do this race, and
I don't think he put a foot wrong.
No, not at all. I mean, his tires were even. He was taking better care of his tires than Hamilton. I mean, yeah, he was up in that clear air, but I think he made his tires last probably a good 5-6 laps longer than Hamilton's.
I mean, Hamilton was in clear air too because he was so far behind Bottas that he didn't have any dirty air to contend with. After 15 laps, Bottas was gone. But yeah, Bottas did do very well on his tires. I mean, he set the fastest lap on lap 57 of the race, and there was only 58 laps in the race. So his tires were that worn. I don't even what lap did he pit on first, or his last pit stop. I think he only made one pit stop. I want to say, yeah, he made one pit stop, lap 23, and so 25, 28 laps later, he's still able to pull out fastest lap of the race. He didn't put a foot wrong that whole race. He was just phenomenal.
Yeah. What did he say at the end of the post race interview? The race of his life, right there. So it definitely showed. So
definitely.
I'm glad for Bottas. I mean, he's been kind of in Hamilton's shadow, especially the last few years.
Yep.
Didn't he have a long drought with
not a single
wins?
win? Yeah, he didn't win a single race last season. He didn't win a single race, even though I think there were 2 races that he should have won. One where team orders came into play, which was super unfortunate. Team orders came into play, and they gave him the order to allow Lewis Hamilton to finish in front of him because the championship title was on the line. And then another one where the car, I can't remember what happened. I think think he blew a tire maybe in the last like couple laps, and he was running in first place or something. So he had a pretty long drought. His last race win was Abu Dhabi 2017.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm definitely happy for him. I mean, and even but that also shows how good Hamilton is. I mean, he was off all day, and he still pulled out second place.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was pretty funny when they asked him at the end how if he was worried about Verstappen catching him. Did you see that?
No, nah.
They asked him. Verstappen was he passed Vettel and he was coming for you. Did you was the pressure on? And his response was very nonchalant, like, nah, I had it covered. It's not a big deal at all. I was like, dang.
Yeah, wasn't even worried about it.
He was not. Verstappen got within 1 second of him, and he's like, he's like, not a chance. It was the way he answered it. It was like he had it under control. Even with Verstappen just a second behind him, it's like he let him get there. And then even right after that, they asked Verstappen if he felt like, I think he made some mistake, and they asked him if he felt like if he didn't make that mistake, could he have gone after Hamilton? And I think even Verstappen knew that Hamilton was just trying to save his tires a little bit, so not pushing as hard as he could. Because even Verstappen's response was, nah, I don't know. He said he didn't think that it would have made a difference if he made the mistake or not. He doesn't think he would have been able to pass Hamilton. So it was pretty funny interview, I thought. I caught it at least.
Well, speaking of Verstappen, I mean, he had a great race.
He did. Well, he qualified. He qualified fourth place. Finished in third. So bringing home some extra points for Red Bull.
Yeah, he definitely showed some improvement. I was a little worried at the start of the season with that Honda engine, how well it would perform, but rather they were making the right choice switching from Renault to Honda. But I mean, he had some good overtakes throughout the race. Yeah, overtaking Vettel there. That was pretty awesome. I was definitely standing up and cheering for that.
Yeah, it was really cool. So he kind of tried to pass him in turn one, didn't really make it, and then got a good run out through turn two. Was able to get around him. So speaking of that turn, actually, where he passed him, I think it's turn 3. I don't remember the turn names, but that turn, I think 7 people tried to pass on the outside of that turn, and every last person failed at it. It's like, do they not know it's not going to happen? I thought it was pretty obvious that there's no way you can pass on the outside of that turn. It's pretty clear. I mean, I'm not a Formula One car driver, so I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but it was just pretty funny watching them try over and over to pass somebody on that same turn and fail miserably.
Yeah, they all took that outside line, trying to get around there.
Yeah, I don't know what anybody. I think somebody was trying to just be the one to make it work.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, he didn't get it. He didn't do it. And even who was it? I think it was it was not Grosjean. Who's the other Haas driver? Magnussen. Magnussen tried to pass Antonio. Oh no, sorry. It was Hulkenberg that tried to pass Kevin Magnussen around the outside of that turn, got cut off, and then Magnussen tried to pass Antonio Giovinazzi on the outside of that same turn, as if he didn't know that it's impossible. It didn't work for him, so, it's what it is. But, yeah, like you said, Verstappen had a good race from start to end. Didn't put a foot wrong. Honestly, for the top like 5 people, other than I think that was the only event that happened was Verstappen passing Vettel, right? Otherwise, they were in the same positions that they kind of started off, with the exception of Bottas passing Hamilton, because Bottas started off in second place. But they pretty much ran, 1 through 5 all the way through. through the race, so not
exactly.
too eventful.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sometimes that happens, though. I mean, you get races where the top guys, and that's pretty much where they're gonna finish the race, and then you get the midfield battling it out.
Yeah.
So, but it's still a great race.
That midfield battle, that was pretty intense because I think the teams were I think they were a lot closer than they have been in the past. I mean, I know it's a track doesn't lend itself to passing too well, and we'll probably have to wait a couple races to really see where everyone else falls. But just looking at the race results, we had Haas from sixth place down. We had Haas, Renault, Alfa Romeo, Racing Point, Toro Rosso, a Red Bull, McLaren, another Racing Point, another Toro Rosso, like all mixed up. So nobody really finished next to each other with the exception of the people that finished in last place, which was Robert Kubica and George Russell. So otherwise, everybody was pretty mixed up. So I think it's gonna be a really good battle this season for the midfield.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the midfield's where the story is going to be for the rest of the season. I mean, with the qualifying, I think from Q2 to Q3, like if you look at like the top, I think it's from like position 3 through 16. They're all only separated by about a second, and I mean, I don't think we've seen a midfield that competitive, especially in the last couple of years. So I think this is going to be a great season, especially for some of these smaller teams.
True. I think Alfa Romeo, that was unexpected for me. I know Sauber. They were doing pretty well last year, but
with the Iceman.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Kimi Räikkönen just really pushing that thing. Possibly, definitely past what Antonio Giovinazzi was doing, but Antonio Giovinazzi is a new driver, rookie, so. Kimi Räikkönen did really well with that car.
Yeah, he was showing that he still got it. He's at the top of his game, and I think he's going to do really well with Sauber this year. I know he's not in the factory car, but I mean he still got it. He's
in a factory car. It's Alfa Romeo now, bro.
Yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. It's the Ferrari B team, so
yeah, it is. It's a Ferrari B team. That's all it is. That's where they got Leclerc from last year. So.
Yep.
Well, yeah, the midfield's going to be real well. Who's not a part of the midfield battle? Everyone is a part of the midfield battle, except for one team.
Yeah. Williams.
That is so unfortunate. I mean, literally, yeah. Racing Point, Haas, Alfa Romeo, and Renault. Renault is probably going to be leading that pack, and Toro Rosso, they're all up there. But Williams was just ridiculously slow. I think Kubica finished? Let's see. He finished 3 laps down from the leader. 3 laps.
Yeah. I mean, that car is just unbelievably slow. And then Kubica in qualifying, I mean, he was 6 seconds off of Hamilton's qualifying.
So far away. Yeah. Now, George Russell, how do you think he's doing with that car? I mean, he's doing better than Kubica, like a lot better, I would say.
Yeah. I wish George Russell had a much better car because I think he's going to be great in Formula One. He handled that car for what he had and what he was driving. He actually did the best he could, and I think he would have done much better if he was in another car, and it would have been great to see.
Yeah, he's doing real well. It's I want to see how long he's going to stay down there. If I mean, Bottas, I don't think Bottas is going anywhere, to be honest. I mean, after that race, I know they were talking about him having to prove himself this season. I think he just did in one race.
Oh yeah.
But if he, if he ever gets replaced or if Hamilton replaces him, George Russell, is a Mercedes driver. But you also have Esteban Ocon, who is also waiting for a seat to get back into Formula One. So whether they pick Russell or Ocon to step up to that team, only time will tell.
Yeah, Ocon's a Mercedes reserve driver, right?
Yeah, he is. He is. He's sitting there waiting for Bottas to make a mistake. That's what he's doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Bottas is pretty safe unless he just completely falls off.
Yeah, unless it was just
the
a
rest of the
fluke weekend or something.
Yeah, but I mean, if he keeps it up, he's I would like to see him give Hamilton a run for his money the rest of the season. That'd be great to see.
Yeah, we'll
Make it a
see
little
if
bit more competitive up there.
yeah, we'll see if we get another similar to Hamilton versus Rosberg. That was fun times. Fun times. I don't know though. Bottas, unless he's changed his demeanor, he seems a bit more calm and mild mannered. Versus Rosberg was very outspoken and very much willing to battle. Whereas we haven't seen Bottas really willing to battle Hamilton. We've seen him ahead of him, of course, but we haven't seen him, willing to get into an actual battle with him.
Yeah. The greatest 1-2 driver combination of all time, and then the most solid number 2 driver for a team is Michael Schumacher and Ruben. Is it? No, not Barrichello. Oh man, I think it's Barrichello. Yeah, Rubens Barrichello, always coming in second place.
Oh man. Well, yeah, Michael Schumacher dominated for those seasons that.
Oh yeah.
He was with
So
Ferrari.
it definitely. I mean, Bottas doesn't want to get that number 2 driver attached to his name. He's definitely making a fight for that number 1 spot.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't think. Honestly, I don't think Hamilton will lose the number 1 spot, but I think they'll let them battle it out for a couple seasons as long as they don't crash into one another.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if he starts winning races over Hamilton, I totally I think Toto is all about, it doesn't matter which one of you guys does it, as long as one of you is at the top, he's happy.
That's true. That's true. I guess I'm just biased because I want to see Hamilton equal Schumacher's record, but I think a lot of people don't want to see him do that because people love Schumacher.
Hey, I mean, if you're dominant and you're at the top of the game, you should win as much as you can if you can. So
yeah,
I think it would be great to see get up to that number.
Yep. What else of importance happened during the race? I think did we touch on Antonio Giovinazzi and his intense defending against everyone? I think we did.
Oh yeah, yeah, not giving up that position at all, and he actually did a great job.
He did. I mean, he was annoying, but he did a good job.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I was like, just move. He never moved out of the way. Actually, he just let people pass him. Somebody, it was Robert Kubica. He's the only driver I saw actually move out of people's way. He's like, I'm not even going to try. So
I think their plan was just to leave him out there until they started passing. So I think as soon as those drivers started getting around him, he immediately pitted.
Yeah, he was just holding them back from Kimi, right?
Yep.
Helping Kimi get away from everyone else. So did a fantastic job from a team's perspective. Finished down in 15th place. And that was third to last because 3 people dropped out of the race.
Oh yes, let's talk about that. The Renault bad luck continues.
Yeah, Renault, but how about Haas? I thought that's what you were going to bring up.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I was getting at the Renault engine. Well,
oh Oh, for
Was it Carlos
McLaren.
Sainz?
Yeah, McLaren's
Yeah,
Renault blue.
who's actual fire on the track. I don't think I've seen like a car that engulfed in flames in quite some time.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I think last season though at
Yeah, they had
at Red Bull
one
Ring.
fire out the back. Yeah,
I was
yeah.
there. I was there for that race. It was awesome. But yeah, I don't think it was necessarily on fire though. I think it was just smoking. Like it wasn't like a flamey fire. It was just like a smoky, like
Oh,
white
I
smoky
don't know.
fire.
It looks pretty bad from everything I saw. Like paint started to crackle and peel off.
You're probably right. I
Good.
don't remember. I didn't actually watch that race on the coverage because I was there, which I probably should have just watched the coverage because when you're there, it's different. You don't see everything.
Oh, okay.
So-
I get you. I was talking about this race. The Australian race,
my bad.
GP. Yeah,
My bad.
but yeah. I think that one was just a small fire at the back.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This
After
race.
yeah.
This race, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a big fire. Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah, that was, I guess
Yeah.
Renault had some bad luck again.
Yeah, but Lando Norris not looking too bad.
Killing it. Like I said, I was super happy. I mean, I'm not that big of a McLaren fanboy, but I mean, I know they have a huge name. I mean, but I still thought it was awesome to see from where they were last season and, you know, them losing Fernando Alonso. I thought they were just going to fall straight to the back with Williams. But Lando Norris has some really good promise. If he can keep up the race that he did this weekend, then McLaren's going to be all right, if not the same, if not better than they were last year. I know they want to be better, but at least they haven't fallen backwards.
Yeah, Lando was definitely the glimmer of hope from McLaren, and hopefully it's the turnaround they need.
Yeah,
and it's been sad to see the last couple of years.
Yeah, and Carlos Sainz he's really good too, coming from Renault last year. He's a really good driver.
Yeah.
We just have to wait and see what he can do with that McLaren. See if he can actually push it to the same limits, because we saw that Van Dorn wasn't doing. I mean, he kind of drove the car well, but not well enough.
Yeah. Did you watch any of the Formula E races with Van Dorn yet?
I tried. I have not. I tried to watch one Formula E race, and it was weird. Seeing the cars go around the track and not hearing anything, and just hearing you hear something, you hear loud whining noise from the electric engine. I was just like, I can't watch this.
It's definitely different, but yeah, hopefully he has a better career in Formula E. That's for sure.
Yeah, I think he's doing really well. I think I heard he qualified first place this last, not this past week, the weekend before last. I think I heard that and listened to another podcast, and he got qualified in first. So
yeah, that makes me wonder how much of it was the car rather than him, you know. But
probably was the car a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, they that was pretty bad last year.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the only other team that wasn't looking too hot was Haas. They had that pit stop again, and
Haas and their pit stop woes continue. How unfortunate is that happened to them?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't. I was watching their pit stops like a hawk when they were in there, and then I think they got the first one off fine, and I'm like, okay, it's all good. They've practiced, they know what they're doing, and then
so we thought.
yeah, exactly. And then they come in again, and they just can't get it together.
Yeah, I think everyone was holding their breath when they came in the pits, and it went well. The first pit stop went well for Magnussen, if I remember correctly. It was not super fast, but there was no hiccups. And then, or actually, I think they did fine. And then Grosjean came in.
Yeah, Grosjean.
They were struggling with that front left tire again. The same front left tire that they didn't attach correctly 1 year ago at the Australian GP 2018. They didn't attach both tires on both cars. One car comes in, pit stop, front tire's not attached right. They have to drop out of the race. Second car comes in, pit stop, front left tire's not attached right. They have to, so both cars dropped out after running their best race at the time, running fifth and sixth place. And then they come around in this race a year later, trying not to repeat their struggles. One car makes it through. Second car comes in, and front left tire messed up again. I don't know what they need to put a different guy over there if it's not the same. If it's the same guy, it's a mistake.
They were saying it's the same guy.
I don't know. I'm just talking.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I hope it's not the same guy. I would feel so bad for that guy.
It would be terrible.
Oh man, yeah. Just they have the worst luck. But hopefully they can get it together the rest of the race. I don't think they had a loose nut rest of the season last year. So
they didn't. It was just Australia, and then they repeated that same problem. It's almost like Haas and Ricardo had the same bad luck this race. They're just like the one place they shouldn't, the one place that they didn't want anything to go wrong, and it went wrong.
Yeah.
So it was unfortunate. Yeah, Grosjean dropped out of the race, lap 29. Ricardo dropped out of the race, lap 28 from. I think he just dropped. I think they just gave up. To be honest, I don't think there was anything wrong with their car. I think they were just too far behind, and they weren't gaining. So I think they just threw in the old white flag. And then Carlos Sainz, of course, had the fire. Car engulfed in flames. So McLaren, Renault, and Haas all dropping out of the race. Kubica held on to finish 3 laps down from the leader, and George Russell was 2 laps down from the leader, but still had a good showing. George Russell still had a good showing. I think he did well. Kubica, I'm not sure if it's. I mean, did he race? I don't think he was racing the last couple of years, was he? Or was he just a reserve driver?
Oh, no. Yeah, he definitely wasn't racing. Not in Formula One for a couple of years now.
Well, not Formula One, but was he racing anything else?
I actually don't know. I don't know. He might have been a reserve driver.
Let me see, because
I think he was reserved last year.
That would explain if he wasn't racing anywhere. That might be an explanation as to why he was so far off pace from George Russell, who's a rookie coming from Formula 2.
Yeah.
Because George Russell, he was racing, but just in a lower class. So I'm trying to see. So after the accident, let's see. After his accident, he returned to motorsport. He was racing in LMP1 and GT3, so he wasn't racing in any official open wheel cars. He did a Formula E test in May of last year, and then I think he was just a reserve driver, a testing driver for Renault last year as well. Okay. So maybe that's explained why he was so far off pace, because he was, no one wants to blame his injury, of course, because we want to see him do well. But is the injury making him? Is that affecting him? Is it not? Only time will tell. We'll see over the next couple races if he can step up.
Yep, most definitely. Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to see him do well, get that return, and hopefully compete competitively.
Yeah, hopefully. Oh. Let's see. What else? Anything else from the race or the weekend that we haven't touched on?
I think we pretty much covered the race. I got all the major points. I mean, a fun race. I'm so glad the Formula One season started again. Finally, I have something to look forward to on Saturday and Sunday nights.
Right, exactly. Where we can watch at like 3 o'clock in the morning here in the U.S.
Exactly. Yeah, stay up late and watch some races.
Yeah, that's the way we're gonna live our lives, people, because that's the price you have to pay if you're gonna be a Formula One fan in the United States, especially on the West Coast. All your races,
Totally worth it though.
I think there's 21 races this season. I think it's 21. There was 21 last season at least.
Yeah, 21.
And probably 17 of those happen in the middle of the night because they all happen. Most of them happen in Europe. Australia, that race was at I think 10 o'clock our time or something like that, 8 o'clock maybe.
Yep. Yeah, that one actually wasn't too bad. That was
no, that was cool.
You can still have a good night and then come home and watch the race at 10. You're still in bed by midnight, so not too bad. But
exactly.
Yeah, most of them are. Some of them are pretty late.
So the only ones we can catch at normal hours are the U.S. GP in Austin, the Mexican GP. What else?
The Brazilian, any of the
Brazil.
North and Brazil. Anything in North
and Australia
and South America. Yeah, Australia.
Oh, Japan probably. No, Japan I think.
Yeah. Dude, the Singapore Grand Prix, that's at night, right? So that's pushed back a little bit. So.
Yep, because they do theirs that's the only one that they do later at night, so we can watch that at a decent hour. So we got what's that? So that's Australia, Singapore, Mexican GP, US GP, Brazilian GP, and possibly there's another night race. I think Abu Dhabi, right? So 6 races out of 21 is what we can kind of watch at a normal hour. Elsewise, you got to be up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 3 a.m. If you want to catch the practice sessions and qualifying, forget about it. I'm just watching the replays.
But that's what makes it so fun, though. Like, it doesn't matter where they are, you're feel like you're participating in this sport all over the world. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's true. Are you planning on going to any races this year?
So I was actually. I'm in Phoenix right now visiting my family, and I just brought up trying to go to the Austin GP in October, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about it, trying to make some plans. I think it's going to happen this year. I definitely want to try to make it.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm thinking about going to that one as well. Of course, I have a baby on the way, so I don't know what that's going to look like as far as going to the race.
Your life is, it's going to be a little hectic.
Yeah, so don't know if I'll be able to make it to any races this season, but I really want to go. For some reason, I want to go to the Mexican GP more than I want to go to the one in Texas.
To the Mexican GP?
Yeah, for some reason I want to go there more than I want to go to Austin. Yeah. I don't know why. Maybe because I guess Mexican GP is technically probably closer to us than the Austin.
Oh, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Being in California, but also I just like that track. I think it's really cool because I like baseball, one of my favorite sports, and I think it's really cool that the track goes through a baseball stadium, that they kind of modify it and goes right through the stands. It's pretty cool.
Definitely the most interesting track.
Yep.
Layout.
Then I think next year, try to go back to my girlfriend and I were thinking about whether we're going to try to make it a habit to visit one race every year since we did it last year. So I guess we have to do it this year to make it a tradition, huh? Dang.
Yeah, you got to keep it. You got to keep it going.
Hey, you want to babysit for the
right? I'll definitely look into getting you a babysitter while you're gone. So
it's like, oh man, we gotta make this tradition. So, anyways, yeah,
all right.
Yeah, hopefully I'll go to a race this year. We'll see. What do you expect though for the rest of the season? Do you think? I guess we kind of touched on it, right? You think the midfield battle is going to rage on?
Yeah, I think the midfield battle is going to be really close this year. I'm liking what everyone's done and the rule changes make it more competitive. I think Formula One, they're heading in the right direction with those rule changes. But I'm a Verstappen fan. I'm more of a Red Bull fanboy, but Ricardo leaving to Renault, so I'm gonna hop on that Verstappen bandwagon. I hope that
Man.
I hope that the McLaren or the Honda engine actually performs. It can continue to improve and show some power. But I'm always rooting for the underdog. I like Hamilton, but I'm just tired of seeing him win. So
I can
hope it's a little bit
understand
more
that.
competitive at the top.
I give Verstappen a benefit of the doubt. I did start to not dislike him so much last season. So
Yeah, he definitely seemed like he matured. But at the beginning of last season, oh man, yeah, he was hard to root for.
very difficult to root for.
Yeah.
He's a good kid. I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it's probably just a maturity level. I mean, he can drive his ass off though. That's one thing for sure. He is a really good driver. So
oh yeah,
I just can't necessarily root for him. The problem is I like Red Bull. Red Bull is probably like my favorite team. So it's like I like Hamilton. He's my favorite driver, but I'm not like a huge fan. I don't care for Mercedes. I don't even like their cars to be blatantly honest with you. But well, I like their cars, but I just like other cars better.
yeah.
And then Haas because the American team, of course.
Yeah, you gotta root for the American team.
Got to. And then, but Red Bull is definitely like one of my favorite teams. So we'll see. That's why I'm hoping that Gasly can get in there and battle Verstappen. I know he probably won't, but I'm hoping he will.
Yeah, I'm hoping as well. Hopefully he figures it out and can get it together and be more competitive, at least on Verstappen's level anyway.
Yeah. We shall
Hopefully.
see. But I think as far as what I expect for the season, I think I think it's just gonna run away with it. The thing about Hamilton,
man.
I see the thing about Hamilton is just like last season, he just kind of does his thing. He puts the car as he does the best he can, and he waits for the other guy to start messing up. I mean, look at last season. Everybody thought for the first half of the season, everybody thought Ferrari was gonna win and that Vettel was gonna battle him to the end. And then halfway through the season, Mr. Cool, Calm, and Collected Hamilton wasn't really saying or doing anything different. He was just taking those second places, taking those third places, taking the first place, taking what he can get. And then Vettel started to fall apart, and Hamilton just slid right up into first place, just as easy as that, So I can respect the way he did that last season because to me, that's from the outside looking in, it seemed like he was just doing his job, calm and collected, and he's not going to be the one to make the mistake. That's kind of like his motto from last season that I've seen. And then Vettel started making the mistakes and lost the championship. So Hamilton did not win that championship last season. It was Vettel lost it.
Oh no.
So,
yeah. I mean, he's consistent. That's for sure.
Mr. Consistency, and I think that Bottas will. He's going to do very well, but I feel like if anything, I think it's going to come down to the wire. Actually, I think it'll come down to the wire. But I think Bottas will make more mistakes and still have his run of bad luck. So that's kind of my prediction.
Definitely see that happen.
Huh?
Yeah. I said I can definitely see that happening. Like that's I mean, you're taking the smart money right there with that prediction.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Are you on the Formula One fantasy leagues?
No, I didn't check it out. I should have.
I set up a team. I did terribly. It was not a good show.
Who was your team?
So I had 3 teams, but I'll just talk about the first one only. Let me just get to that home screen real quick, or that screen real quick. So
Yeah, I was
go ahead.
I was looking at that. I should have set up a team. I think it would have added a little extra to the viewing experience.
Yeah, it does. So I have Renault as my constructors team, which didn't go well for
Okay.
me.
Yeah,
I
terrible
had
choice.
I had Ricardo as one of my drivers, and I put the turbo, so you can select like a turbo driver for that driver to earn double points. The problem
Okay.
is when you put a turbo driver, when you turbo that driver or whatever, they double whatever happens. So if they earn negative points, then they get double negative points. And Ricardo got
Oh,
negative points. So that
yep.
I was all bad, all bad. And then I had Bottas, which awesome for me, I guess. And then Lando Norris and Pierre Gasly and Hamilton. So those five, it was Hamilton,
Okay.
Gasly, Norris, Bottas, and Ricardo, and then the Renault team. And I ended up with 89 points over the weekend. I don't really know where that puts me, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it's
50%
kind of cool.
your team did good.
Yeah, I guess Hamilton and Bottas did. I mean, Bottas did
Did
great.
well. Lando.
Hamilton did he did great, obviously, but it was kind of uneventful for him. Lando Norris,
Yeah.
though, but he didn't get any points. He didn't score, so he came in 11th place, I think, or
Okay.
so. Um, no, he came in 12th place behind Pierre Gasly. So, and then Pierre Gasly came in 11th. So those two guys didn't do much for me.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, you should definitely set up a team on there. You can
Yeah.
start anytime. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it. Unless there's anything else you got.
I think we covered it pretty good. Nice inaugural episode.
Yeah. So,
I thought this one pretty good.
yeah, definitely. Hopefully, the people listening, hopefully you come back. We'll have another episode in a week discussing the Bahrain GP coming up.
Yeah.
So,
Couple weeks, it'll be great.
yeah. Thanks for listening. Yeah, over and out.